Hello and welcome to today's live. Today we're going to be discussing inositol for PCOS. We will be going through what inositol is, what is the difference between D-Chiro and myo-inositol, how it works, and which ones should you choose. So stay tuned. So I hope you can hear me well, see me well. Today I'm doing my live myself without extra help. So that is going to be super interesting. If you are tuning in, make sure you leave me a like for this video. This will help my channel a lot. And make sure you leave a comment, let me know where you're watching from. We're going to be going through a few things. This is going to be a little bit different format of a video. Because I'm gonna be sharing my screen and we're gonna be reacting and kind of explaining a little bit more about inositol on the base of one video that I actually have seen before. And we are actually gonna be going through a few scientific studies that I found, or rather abstract of those studies without going too much in depth to them, to explain how inositol works and what is it good for and what is it been proven to be good for. I will briefly also mention where you can get inositol and how to search for the type of inositol that you would like, that you should be getting. So again, if you are watching that either on the replay or you're watching it live, make sure that you tell me where you're watching from, and if you have any questions, that you just leave it for me in the comments. We had a pretty good discussion this last couple of weeks, so I really, really hope that we will keep it going. So without further ado, we are going to be talking about what is inositol. Inositol, first of all, is a vitamin called vitamin B8. So, as we say, we usually refer to it as inositol, but yeah, it is vitamin B8, and there are quite a few types of inositol. So how does inositol work? If you are a person who's struggling with PCOS, you probably have been recommended taking inositol or taking, we have one comment already, great. I'm going to be mentioning it a little bit later. We actually have even scientific study that is going to be talking about it in a minute, and we're going to go through animation as well in a second that is going to be explaining it a little bit. Inositol, as I said, is vitamin B8, and it helps with insulin resistance, as well as while regulating insulin resistance, it is going to help with your high androgen levels as well. So without further ado, I'm going to be showing you this animation. And we're going to be going through it. I'm going to be explaining what's happening. I don't want to put, any voice to it. And we're going to just do little snippets with my commentary as well, so we don't get flagged for it. This is actually linked already in my description. And you can see that this is by Chiral Balance. And this is model based on studies. It hasn't been fully confirmed yet, but there are a lot of studies actually that would suggest that this is how it all works. And so let's go through it. As you can see, instructional video about insulin metabolism and PCOS, and what role D-Chiro inositol and myo-inositol is playing. So if you can see, the cells we are concerned about are the cells in your body, and these are cells in your ovaries, which produce testosterone as well. So that is that. The small molecules that you see now are going to be glucose in this video. This is insulin. This is myo-inositol, and DCI is going to be your D-Chiro inositol. Now, it's if we have PCOS, we have quite a short supply of D-Chiro inositol, which is going to be super important in what I'm going to be talking about in a second. So because we have smaller conversion of myo-inositol to D-Chiro inositol, this is what's going to be happening. First of all, you have two types of myo-inositol and DCI that are connected to something called phosphoglycan. I think that's what it's written. So it's DCI IPG that is already with this phosphoglycan, and myo-inositol have the same type. So it has this IPG with it. Now this IPG connects D-Chiro inositol and myo-inositol to outside of your cell. So as you can see, they go to outside of the cell, our D-Chiro inositol and our myo-inositol, and they wait. So they sit there. Of course, if you have both of them in your body, which we're going to get to. Now, we have insulin secretion, and in the moment, we're going to see that insulin is being secreted when we eat glucose, and then our pancreas is releasing insulin to the blood. And insulin tells our cells to open up and to actually let the sugar in and let the energy burn, and to kind of signal to our body whether there is energy available or not, or it should be stored because we don't need any anymore and we have extra, and so on and so forth. So the pancreas releases insulin to the blood in response to increased blood sugar. So we eat something, carbs and so on. Glucose gets into the cells. That, of course, also happens with insulin. But to talk about inositol. Inositol kind of opens the gates, right? In healthy individuals, the insulin binds to receptor on the outside of the cell, and it activates the enzyme that breaks the bond from those to the cell. And what happens then? They can get inside of the cells, yeah? Both myo-inositol and D-Chiro Inositol. So they let cell know that it needs to respond to insulin. Now, D-Chiro Inositol, for D-Chiro Inositol, it means that it's burning on storing sugar. It gets that information. When D-Chiro Inositol comes into the cell, it gets the information burn sugar, right? When myo-inositol goes in, it means produce testosterone. So you have insulin going in. Yes. Yeah, so when the sugar is being burned out, the insulin levels actually come down and the TECA cells stop making testosterone. So if we have enough D-Chiro Inositol, it goes to one of those receptors and that blocks your testosterone production because you are actually creating energy from sugar. So it's kind of like leveled out thing. If you have enough D-Chiro Inositol, it's going to be blocking the extra production of testosterone as well, and it's going to burn your sugar for energy instead of storing it in your body. So not only your cells are going to become in turn also more insulin sensitive because they already burned that sugar that is inside, so therefore they're going to signal that they don't need anymore, but also you're going to stop saving this extra energy in your fat cells instead of suffering from fatigue and always having this problem that I already discussed in many videos in insulin resistant videos. So they work all together. Now, if we don't have D-Chiro Inositol, which very often happens in PCOS, now we're going to the good part. We only have myo-inositol, right? So same thing happens, and that causes imbalance. So myo-inositol goes in and signals that we have to produce more testosterone because it's a balance of two things. If we have too low D-Chiro Inositol, they kind of signal to each other to stop this testosterone production. But if it's just one thing coming to the pot, testosterone is being produced, but this never gets an information to burn sugar for fuel, and it cannot be produced. So that's why we have very high testosterone levels. That's why we have insulin resistance problems. Well, insulin resistance problems we have first, but that's why we have a problem with fatigue, with burning fat, and so on and so forth. Yeah. There we go. So that is a very simplified model. Again, if you want to go through it once again, I have it already in the description down below. But as you can see, if you have both D-Chiro Inositol and myo-inositol in the right balance, those symptoms shouldn't be existing in theory, or they should be diminished, right? Because with high testosterone is what we ever always talk about. We have loss of hair, growth of unwanted body hair, hirsutism, acne, masculine adipose distribution, disrupted menstrual cycle, and of course infertility. So this is super simplified. We already have a comment. Super simplified. Oh, hello Beth, I'm so glad you're watching. I hope that you understood that little video that I had right now. I'm gonna have to swap quickly what am I going to be sharing with you in a minute, because I want to go through a few studies as well, but that is in a minute. Let me know if that animation helped you a little bit, because if I want to give you a cliff notes, it's basically there is all a balance between the two, between D-Chiro Inositol and myo-inositol. Now, before, let me remove that from the stream. You probably have heard that the best combination for PCOS is to take 40:1 myo-inositol to D-Chiro Inositol. So 40 parts of myo-inositol to 1 of D-Chiro Inositol, right? And this is the most common thing. Now, there are certain studies that are, of course, disputing it, but with the most studies coming out, it seems like this is the perfect way. So if we're talking about inositols, again, you need to think about 2, myo-inositol, D-Chiro Inositol. If you are watching and you have seen before, if you have been recommended before inositol, let me know which inositol you have been recommended, or was it only said to you that you are supposed to take inositol, period? Or was it some very specific supplement with specific company, and or if you have been taking inositol before. Inositol is said to also, because it improves insulin sensitivity as well as a whole, it improves insulin sensitivity also in your ovaries and in cells in your ovaries, which is supposed to help with ovulation. So this is one of the things that is super, super important because this is something that has been studied extensively and it seems to be working. Now, there are few, can inositol, 7-OH progesterone, this is very specific, let me just hiding it. I have something about progesterone in one of the studies. Let's see if it is going to actually mention this type specifically or not, because it only mentioned progesterone. I don't think if it said if there is 70-OH progesterone. But let's take a look in a minute. However, as I said, inositol makes our cells more insulin sensitive, and in turn they create less testosterone. And if you have been watching me a lot, I have the whole playlist about insulin resistance, of course, and I've been discussing there why, for example, keto diet is very good for insulin resistance, and why also in turn it can help with acne, hair loss, and all the hyperandrogenism symptoms. I'm sorry that I'm a little bit scatterbrained today, guys, but I have actually started eating carbs, and I swear to God, talking about insulin problems. My brain doesn't function when I am on carbs, and when I have been keto, I never had problem with brain fog, but now I struggle with it a lot. Plus, I'm on my period, so I am complete scatterbrain. I hope you can understand. Let me just have a sip of my Zero Radler, and we can continue. Speaking of which, having sugar. Okay, let me share the screen for you. So these are just abstracts from the trials, from the publications, but we already see here the results and conclusions, right? Of course, it would be nice to actually see what type of method has been used, because if you have ever read in depth any scientific studies, you will see that many of them are problematic, not because of the results, but because the results are a little bit weird due to the method that has been used. Like, for example, in case of ketogenic diet, very often people are not fed only ketogenic diet, but sugar plus ketogenic diet, which is insane. So the method is very, very important. However, if we look at the results, it has been confirmed that 40:1 myo-inositol to D-Chiro Inositol ratio is the best for PCOS therapy, aimed at restoring ovulation and normalizing important parameters in these patients. The other formulations were less effective, and in particular, decreased activity was observed when 40:1 ratio was modified in favor of D-Chiro Inositol, which means that D-Chiro Inositol shouldn't be overdosed in patients. So 40:1 ratio is very important, and you shouldn't be taking more than that, because having too much D-Chiro Inositol throws off the balance the other way. Yes, so this is our first one, and this is just a quick abstract. Let me share another one with you. Metabolic and hormonal effects. Let's go to that. All right. Do we have it on the screen? We have it on the screen. Perfect. So this is very cool. Metabolic and hormonal effects of combined myo-inositol and D-Chiro Inositol therapy. on patients with polycystic ovary syndrome. I really like seeing it because they're all Polish, Marcin Januszewski, Jakimiuk, Zaczyńska. So that's really cool. And I'm Polish, by the way, if you didn't know. The results have been showing also if it goes to body weight. So significant body weight reduction and decreases in FT, FHH, luteinizing hormone, insulin levels, as well as significant increase in serum of SHBG concentration were observed. Serum glucose levels during OGTT decreased after 6 months of treatment. Also, skin conditions improved after only 3 months of treatment. This is super important to notice as well. You probably, if you have read some or watched certain things about myo-inositol or inositol 40:1 ratio, is that it's super, super important to be consistent with it. Take it every day for minimum, I've read, 10 to 12 months. So here we can see that glucose already improved after 6 months of treatment, and skin conditions after 3 months of treatment. However, if it goes to stuff like excessive hair growth, hair loss, etc., those tissues work a little bit different, and you really need to have substantial change in your body for those tissues to react. So, for example, I mean, I know if you know, ever had a hair test to see, the amount of minerals and vitamins in your body, they can see something from the past, right? And the hair also reacts, as I said, a little bit later as well as the skin, because if we lower the level of glucose, first of all, we ingest something like myo-inositol, and the first thing it's going to do is going to work in our digestive system and in our blood. But before it gets to the tissues, it takes a little bit of time. So let's say that after 6 months of treatment, you already have decreased glucose overall through that period of time. But then after that, it takes another few months. There we go. Notice brain fog, pseudocyte, carbs, and I've been eating gluten. I don't know what happens to me, guys. I'm so stressed that I'm just eating gluten, and I didn't eat gluten for 3 years. So as you can see, it takes time for inositol to start working. And what is super, super important is to stick to it. I know it's easier said than done, but if it goes to hair loss, hair growth, and skin, the results might come even 10 to 12 months after. So regulating it takes 10 to 12 months. But then, of course, they're going to maybe start growing back, or maybe your skin is going to start clarifying, like clearing up, right? Because it's just from the moment that you have that balance after 10 or 12 months, things can start improving. Of course, they're showing that small improvements in the skin were already shown in 3 months, but I can only guess. That, of course, is going to be very personal and dependent on a person. So this is why many people also don't see great results with inositol, for example, because berberine is. I'm going to put the comment in a second. What was I saying? That's why it's so important to be consistent. Consistency is usually something that people struggle with the most, because I know people that are trying new supplements, and after a month they say they think that they can determine whether it works or not. In general, it's being said that it's at least 3 months to see whether the supplement is working or not. And that is also in terms of minerals that are pretty easily absorbable, and they're needed in your blood and in your muscles. And if it goes to stuff that actually have to go through and work first at your blood sugars and then at your tissues and then stop the process from happening, there we go. Berberine is the best. I completely agree. However, there are not full studies on berberine. Check my video, by the way, about berberine and metformin. And there's also a video that I just did last week about, those are a little bit more herbs, berberine, androgen-reducing herbs. That was also a good one. Berberine is magic. I think that berberine should be recommended by doctors instead of metformin. And I really, really hope that the doctors will actually come to, read new studies that are coming out. Of course, if you have ever known someone who works in pharmaceutical companies, that the process of even, accepting the drug, usually if it's not political, takes even up to 10 years with all the clinical trials that have to be made. and with all the confirmations that have to be made. So yeah, berberine seems like it works magic, and it has way less side effects than metformin, and is not as irritable for the stomach. I actually would really like to try it. I have to try and get my hands on it a little bit and see if carbs plus berberine would be solution to my problem. Maybe I don't have to go keto again. I'm addicted to ice cream. So let's go to our third study. The combined therapy with myo-inositol, D-Chiro Inositol reduces the risk of metabolic disease in PCOS overweight patients compared to myo-inositol supplementation alone. So then again, we have the results. At the end of the treatment, both myo-inositol and D-Chiro Inositol groups showed an improvement of the metabolic parameters, and no significant differences were found. But as expected, the combined supplementation with myo-inositol and D-Chiro Inositol resulted to be more effective compared to myo-inositol group after 3 months of treatment. So it's kind of contradicted in 2 sentences, almost sounds like. But it seems like, again, myo and D-Chiro Inositol together work really, really good. And here we are talking about metabolic. You see, my brain is just crazy. Metabolic results. So both blood sugar, both insulin resistance, and here you can also see that it was checked. The aim was to check the enhancement of the ovarian function, so improving ovulation and stuff like that. The study was made on 50 women. So that's that. And we have one more. Oh, we have another person on keto. I have been keto last year from February to December, and then my birthday came, and unfortunately I kicked myself out. Combine it with berberine or inositol, it will do wonders. Exactly. Inositol, I think, is nice because it's a little bit more gentle. So if you don't know whether you have insulin resistance, you can try inositol first. Or if you're metformin and you're okay, I wouldn't recommend metformin if you can avoid it. But if you are okay, you can use it as a little bit extra to actually make your ovaries a little bit more insulin sensitive. Here we have Maria tries spermintine to lower androgens. Yes, check my last week's live about androgen reducing natural herbs. I'm talking about both spermintine and saw palmetto there, as well as Chinese peony and all the other stuff, as well as ashwagandha and adaptogenic herbs also for androgens that are caused by our adrenal glands and DHEA. So last one, no, that's the same one. Let me change that. The inositols. That is a little bit, there's a different page, and there's actually the full thing. So let's go down to business. Myo-inositol, tolerability, pragmatic description, summary. Inositols act as the second messengers for insulin, and their deficiency contributes to the various features of PCOS. Correction of myo-inositol and D-Chiro Inositol deficiency simultaneously by using combined therapy might help in alleviating metabolic, menstrual, ovulatory, and I don't know how to read that word, but I know what it means, hyperandrogenic features of PCOS. So here we have information about that it also will influence your androgen levels. Thus, combination of myo and D-Chiro Inositol is a rational treatment choice, both as monotherapy as in combination in managing PCOS. And then, of course, blah, blah, blah. We should be advised about typical women's problem. So, as you can see, monotherapy was just with that combination, sometimes was also with metformin and stuff. But I'm trying to find, because I think it was in this article when I read before, that it mentioned actually improving also this progesterone. I can't, in the positive signaling. Can't find it now typically. To get promoted by obesity. Now it's just explanation. But take a look at those because they're also already in my description. Let's see. Thank you, but in Bulgaria, it's difficult to find spearmint tea. Spearmint in combination with licorice. Do you know what? Do you know this mint that you can find in stores? The sweet mint actually in the pot. You can buy that. And I'm pretty sure that on Amazon, you can either buy maybe your own seeds that you could ship. And I know that you can also buy from either UK Amazon or American Amazon. They sometimes ship to entire world. You can buy dried leaves. Of course, they're not super expensive, but spearmint tea generally it's not super easy to find. But on the internet, you should be able, even if it's from the other country, finding it. Or sometimes I know that people don't know that the ones that you can find in supermarkets in pots is actually sweet tea. So if it smells like spearmint gum, that's what it is. It's quite sweet and minty. Ladies with PCOS, do not forget to take magnesium. 100% agree. Make sure you do that, and it's not only gonna help with regulating all your hormones, but it also can help with cramping during the time when you're on. It can also alleviate anxiety, and it generally contributes to balance in your body. Ashwagandha is great. Spearmint with licorice, licorice increases your progesterone. Of course, depends on your progesterone levels, but licorice, again, I was talking about licorice as well in last week's video. Ashwagandha balances hormones and anxiety. By the way, if you have anxiety, let me know what you're using as well. I have been using ashwagandha in the past, but I'll be honest, I did my own, when I was learning about all those stuff, I actually took too many supplements at once, and I didn't know which one was working and which one wasn't. I know that I was taking it with Vitex, and I think Vitex was the problem. And I didn't notice great big difference with ashwagandha. To be honest, I prefer like drinking normal sleepy tea with melissa, with valerian root and stuff like that, just in the evening to help me. And if I really, really struggle during the day, I would take CBD. If you do take inositol instead of keto, let us know how it goes. That's very interesting that you actually said that, Beth, because I think some people do that. And I don't know if I will be using inositol instead. I want to get back on inositol, because I'll be honest with you, I just I'm in the moment when I'm kind of off my supplements. I'm living on a very remote island, so they're very difficult to find. I went to health stores yesterday. Turned out that everything is behind the counter, and the lady is standing there only speaking Spanish. So if I want to read all the ingredients, I don't know how I'm going to do this. This one, can you show me this one? Can you show me this one? Can you show me this one? Impossible. We have also one, I hate PCOS. It makes me feel helpless most of the time. It can feel like that, and I'm sure that everyone who's watching us right now can feel it in our soul. But it is possible to get it under control, I would say. It's super difficult, and it's super long ride. It's almost like, I think that when I gave up and just decided that I'm going to do certain changes, even though they're not going to help me, it started working. Because, of course, putting pressure on ourselves and even more stress, which is easier said than done, doesn't help. But as you said, berberine, magic. Berberine is amazing thing to do. Taking inositol with it, great. If you have anxiety, I would recommend also talking to a therapist, because sometimes it helps. Because it can be, your past traumas are causing it, and we can get mixed up as ladies with PCOS, understanding where our anxiety is coming from, because of course it's exacerbated by PCOS, but there might be some things that make it worse, of course. Let me know who of you watching is now on berberine, who of you is on inositol, and is there any specific inositol that you are on? Cannot work alone. That has to be control over the diet. Yeah, I would agree that inositol is very gentle, right? So inositol will help you if you don't overdo it on sugar. If you want to do full whole foods, I would almost say this: if you're planning to eat sweets and cakes and McDonald's and crap food and take inositol, that's not gonna help you. If you're planning to eat healthy whole food diet without eating crap and then inositol, it is a chance that you can still get away with it. Almost like majority of plants, so whole foods and less fruit, more vegetables, as little sugar as you can, but let's say incorporating potatoes, sweet potatoes sometimes, maybe some low starchy fruits. So instead of banana, maybe berries and stuff like that. And then inositol might still be enough to help you. However, if you have, there's another, Maria have a good comment. I'm going to go to it in a minute. However, if you're planning to eat crap, inositol is not strong enough to balance that amount of sugar. If you have whole foods diet and you take inositol, it might help you with ovulation. It might, as you saw, help with that balance. But from what I understood is not as strong as berberine. Berberine is almost like a medication, which is very, very strong, and overdose can be even dangerous. I'm taking Inofolic, and I think Inofolic, there is a good point, because I think that Inofolic will be inositol. Let me Google it. Let's take a look at it together. I have it in Spanish. I hope that's what it is. Just a second. I'll see if we can take a look at it together. I have it in Spanish, as I said. Yes. Okay. Let me just share the screen with you girls. Share screen, and let's show you Inofolic. Hello. There we go. We got it. It's in Spanish. Don't be alarmed. So you can see that it's myo-inositol and folic acid. And listen, this has been tested as well as a combination, as a really good combination. I don't have studies on it at the minute, but I would also almost say that if you are taking 2,000 milligrams of myo-inositol, 2,000 micrograms of folic acid, great. Add also 200 milligrams, 200? God, I'm freaking out right now. Or is it 500 or 50? Anyway, take 40-to-1 ratio of D-Chiro Inositol. Let me just divide that, because of course when I'm live I cannot count. So it's gonna be 2,000 divided by 40. 50 milligrams of D-Chiro Inositol with it, and that is gonna be the best combination. Because folic acid also combined with inositol, I've seen some studies, I don't have them on me at the minute, but I've seen some studies and it's been showing that it actually helped with conceiving, because of course we know that pregnant women need a little extra folic acid, and it also does something, I can't remember at the minute what it does because I don't have studies on me, I don't want to make a mistake, but it also helps. So great, in folic, get D-Chiro Inositol. Usually if you get D-Chiro Inositol separately, you can get it in pills. I know that Swanson have some. Let's actually find it. Swanson D-Chiro Inositol. And let's see if they have the new one. D-Chiro Inositol, that's with manganese sulfate. It doesn't show how strong it is. It's called blood sugar support. Let me show you. That's just from Amazon. There we go. This is Chirositol, it's called D-Chiro Inositol, yeah? 85 milligrams per capsule, so it's a bit strong. If you can find, I think that Swanson itself has actually the version with 50 milligrams. That would be absolutely the best, because you don't need more than that, yeah? Or, of course, if we are sharing this, we can talk about the most common one, which is Ovasitol. And Ovasitol is good, this is 40-to-1. Myo-inositol, as you can see on the left side there, 40-to-1 blend. However, it's expensive. It doesn't show at the minute because, of course, nothing is shipped to Tenerife. But Ovasitol is quite expensive. What I like doing is actually buying it separately. So if you put myo-inositol powder, for example, I like take it in powder, it tastes good as well. I got this one before. So it's Lambert's, it's now showing $46, but it's quite a lot of it in it. Or this one is very good as well, Jarrow formulas. There is plenty. If you just find separate myo-inositol powder and then you add D-Chiro Inositol separately, it's a really good thing. Let's see what the comments we have. I'm using berberine 500 milligrams every meal. I started slowly, so I reached 3 times. I have seen changes in my skin and hair loss. Yes, and this is actually what you should do. Berberine is recommended to take 500 milligrams 3 times a day. with every meal, yeah, because like metformin, is better to take it with food, otherwise it can give you gastrointestinal issues. Of course, you can start slowly, taking a little bit less, but build up to 1,500 grams. I have just learned about Infolics. Thanks, ladies. Thank you very much, Maria, for mentioning Infolic. Infolic Combi contains D-Chiro. Aha, okay, so they have Combi. Fantastic. That's great. I'm gonna have to take a look if on the pricing of it. In Infolic Combi caps. Okay, great. Actually, let me take a look at it again if they're gonna have it. What was the name again? Inofolic. God, I forgot already. Inofolic Combi. Please keep the comments coming and let me know which else have you been using. I'm just checking here if I have Inofolic Combi and not on Spanish Amazon. Unfortunately, not on Spanish, but I'm sure that maybe on American you will be able to find some. Let me know also what diet do you have. Are you taking a look on, because I know Beth is doing keto. Bevy with Beth is doing keto. Who else was doing keto? Yeah, another person doing keto. And I think, Maria, I think, yeah. Also, did you see any? Oh, yeah, Maria, we have a question to you. Let us know in the comments. Did you see any difference using Infolic? Let us know, because that would be very interesting. And please let us know as well, how long have you been taking it, if you're still watching? Because that is going to be super interesting, because that actually should be working. But then again, take under consideration that everybody is different, right? So for some people, Myo D-Chiro Inositol folic acid combination might be enough, and for some people they're going to have to go to berberine. So super important to take that under consideration too. However, of course, according to studies, they should be working, and that's a period. Let me take a sip while Maria, are you still there? Let us know if have you seen any difference using Infolic, and how long have you been using it for? And if anyone else is watching, we have a few people watching, let me know about your diet and why did you go on this diet? If you're on keto, did you try just lowering your carbs in any different way? Yes, oh, there we go. I've been using it for a month because before that I was on the pill, so I'm expecting my natural period still. It took me, Maria, the first time I went off the pill, 62 days, I think. 60 to 70 days before I got my first period. It was the most miserable thing in the world. But if I can say something positive, 4 years down the line, I have periods from 28 to 30 days. And they're like clockwork. So it is possible. I also think that Beth is keto. I'm raising my hand like I am. I'm not at the minute. I feel guilty. No point feeling guilty, by the way. I know we all do sometimes. But yeah, going off the pill is rough, but it's worth it. And I had a big problem for over a year with the acne. I think now another keto, perfect. I know that acne actually can go back vicious after going off pill, and that was my case. It took me many years to get rid of it, and yeah, eating better diet and most of all keto last year helped. Now, as I said, I'm almost 4 months now keto, which is horrible, 3.5, and my skin is starting to slowly get worse. Let's see, I lowered carbs more and more, reduced fiber, and finally starch. Then I was basically keto anyway, so went full on. Yeah, in my case, I remember first I was gluten-free, so I already got used to not having very, not having breads or pastas or cakes or sugar. So that's how I started, and I was already gluten-free. So then I dropped rice and potatoes, and then I went full keto. Yeah. Let's see. I did get depression from coming off the pill, needed to learn how to balance my mind. Now I'm off the pill for 4 months and doing well. that is also another thing that not many people talk about. And I think that my anxiety, I started having horrible anxiety also after going off pill. I always was anxious person, don't get me wrong, but I definitely see that my anxiety is influenced by my hormones. Let me know if you also have that problem. If you have higher anxiety or depression pre-period and pre-ovulation, because for me it's like clockwork, literally. I know I'm going to be ovulating because I have horrible anxiety, like my heart is rushing and I feel something is wrong and I'm searching for reasons what it is. And it's the same thing before period. It's not on the topic, but can you have high 17-OH progesterone due to PCOS, or is it adrenal problem? Let's find out, shall we? We're going to find it together and see, because to be honest, I don't have the answer on hand. We're going to go back to Amazon. 17-OH progesterone. Oh, and we have actually a scientific study, because this address always, this type of address, NSCCBI, is always scientific. 17-hydroprogesterone, that should be it. But let's see what it's going to say. Still don't know what this is, 70-OHP, to be honest. It are inversely linked to ovarian androgen production. So it is ovarian androgen. So if it is ovarian androgen, inositol should, in theory, help with that. Because if it's not adrenal, but it is ovarian, it should be helping, like you saw in this animation that I had at the beginning. Anxiety from being on the pill, that's very interesting. Maybe because, yeah, it just had some wrong hormone for you, or wrong levels of hormones for your body. Depression before your period, very interesting. So I'm the other one. I don't generally suffer from depression. I have depressive periods like every person, I think, but not like clinical in any way, I don't think. I'm more anxiety driven. And to be honest, I have been working on it for my whole life, but for 1.5 years now, pretty intensively, and it is getting better. Okay, ladies, we are 45 minutes in. I'm very happy that you came here to watch it with me. Please, if you want to help the channel, leave me a like. Share this video with anybody who can use it. Suffer from anxiety. There we go. Is it any worse for you, Maria? Please let me know before. I know you were still waiting for a period. But do you have any change going off pill so far, or is it still the same, or is it actually worse? Because even if it will become worse, give it time. It should level out. Let me know also if any of you have tried CBD oil. Because I didn't stick with it because it's expensive here. And also it makes me feel a bit sleepy, which I don't necessarily like. It is nice because it stops the racing thoughts. But if I have no changes from Maria. If I have super bad anxiety, like borderline anxiety attack, CBD is not going to help, even though I had a really strong one at some point. But yeah, Beth is taking CBD before going to sleep. How strong CBD are you taking, Beth? If you can let me. I think I asked you that before. We chatted about it on my Instagram. And for those of you, by the way, who are watching me on YouTube or Facebook, make sure you follow me on Instagram. I have been a little bit inconsistent because I haven't been feeling very well. My gut is absolutely destroyed. So follow me on Instagram, send me a DM. I have a lot of girls watching me on YouTube actually sending me DMs. And with one of them, we just figured out, it was really lovely message I got yesterday. She was taking, 75 supplements at once. And we figured out how to kind of cut it down, start from scratch, and start from the most important ones, and to cut it to the minimum, because none of us, I think, especially in 2021, can afford taking 75 supplements for PCOS. Right. CBD oil, yeah. Beth, let me know how strong you're taking. I thought you were taking 600 milligrams. They're always saying it's a little bit different. because sometimes it's percentage and sometimes it's milligrams. Because I've been taking 30% once even, but that was not full spectrum. It was not a full extract. It was only, it was extract in coconut oil instead of it being in, it's natural pressed. Because the pressed one, 8%, I think, did more than 30% in the coconut oil. If you want me to do like anxiety supplement review, let me know. If you have ideas for future videos, please leave them for me. I'm going to be slowly saying goodbye to you girls. I'm so happy that you came and you talked to me today. And I'm so happy that we had this conversation. Make sure you leave a like because it helps my channel a lot. Leave a comment, subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet. And I will be here next week at 5 p.m. London time. And we're going to find out soon we have one comment. Thanks for the info today. Thank you. I'm going to be tuning in next week, and I will see you there. Bye.